but the blacksmith claims that for a person of Orhun's caliber, they should get an item from the deepest layers of dungeons. But Orhun tells him not to worry and produces a bunch of artifacts he got from the deep dungeons, including the scale of the black dragon. Immediately, the entire party freezes up, and Orhun realizes that he made a mistake as he opened up an old wound. He should have remembered that they were defeated by this very dragon and lost a very dear party members in the process. He tries to apologize, but Rain recovers from her PTSD and tells Orhun that the black dragon scale would make a sword worthy to be wielded by the dragon slayer himself. A couple days pass by and Selma arranges a team meeting one morning to talk about a quest that they have been given. Everyone sits down on their seats, but it still feels odd to Orhun, as he is once again in a party with whom he is soon going to go dungeon diving again. It had been so long since he decided to go solo that he forgot this feeling altogether. Selma starts the meeting as she reveals that the Adventure Management Division has given them the task to collect noxious sheep pelt, and they will be heading towards the 86th floor to practice their teamwork as well. Orhun swears to himself that he will make sure that this party goes beyond the 94th level, so that they can proudly call themselves equal to the heroes' party. A little while later, they finally enter the 86th floor, which is a part of the lower dungeons, but the beautiful scenery makes everything look so pretty that the adventurers feel more relaxed, and that's why this level is so dangerous, and they can't let their guards down. Selma tells them not to get distracted by the scenery, as there are a lot of earth dragons at this level, and they can be a menace to deal with. And anyways, their primary goal here is to practice their teamwork with Orhun. Selma lays down the basic roles, claiming that Will's job will be to grab the monster's attention for as long as possible, while Rain will attack from the rear with her explosive magic. Otis will join the attack, making sure that all her healing magic is ready to go at a moment's notice. Selma herself will make sure that everyone is buffed at all times, and she is the one who is going to be giving all the orders, while Orhun is going to be their ace and the attacker who will be taking the front lines and dealing most of the damage to the monsters. Otis turns towards Orhun and claims that he is probably strong enough to deal with all the monsters on his own, and even Will agrees with that, wondering whether they would only be coming in his way. Selma turns towards Orhun, claiming that if he thinks that he will be better off attacking alone, then she has no issues with that either. But Orhun immediately replies that he is a part of this team and will be following all her orders. Moreover, their main goal today is to learn how to properly function as a team. For that, they will need to work as a team and synergize with each other. Selma realizes that Orhun is right, and that she has made a very dumb suggestion. But before she could clear her mind, a giant fireball is shot in their direction. Selma was completely spaced out at that moment and doesn't even move. But Orhun is too quick on his feet and immediately dodges out of the way before using his defensive wall to save all his teammates at the same time. He immediately realizes that this is the work of an earth dragon, but there is none in sight, which means that they will have to find it first. Otis comes forward and tells Orhun not to worry, as she will deal with it, as she has a special ability called magic tracking. This helps her triangulate the exact location of her enemies just based on the magical aura remaining in the area that was attacked. She starts scanning the area and quickly finds the foe hiding behind a bunch of bushes. She uses one of her flare gun type abilities, which lures the monster out, while Will gets ready to do his own part. The monster starts running towards them, and Will runs at it as well, while Selma smiles and claims that it is good that Orhun can see the power of their team. Will rushes towards the beast while Rain charges her magic attack. The monster fires another fireball at Will, but this time he is ready and slashes the fireball in two without any issues. The monster shoots more fire blasts at Will, but they are of no use since Will simply cuts them in two or dodges away, escaping without any harm. After baiting the monster into the right position, Will backs off, while Rain uses one of her trap cards and nukes the monster with her explosion magic. Even Orhun is surprised, since they worked perfectly together and made short work of the dragon. Orhun looks at Will and his giant lance, realizing that he wasn't just deflecting the attacks, he was actually nullifying them as well, completely canceling the magic inside. Moreover, Rain used a special grade magical skill like the nuke with such ease and quickness that the monster didn't even have any time to react. Any caster would have taken twice as long to cast the same attack. Otis was amazing as well. With her ability to track down the enemies, there is no real chance that they can be jumped by the ops anytime soon. And Selma is the one binding all of them together, forming one of the best and the most well-synergized parties that he has ever seen. Orhun tells Selma to her face that he is impressed by everyone in their unit, which makes her blush, But before she could respond, a loud roar grabs their attention, and they turn around to see two more earth dragons have risen up from their slumber and are eager to fight. Selma claims that this is perfect as now they can properly practice their teamwork. Both Will and Orhan get ready for the attack and rush at the dragons at top speed, but Orhan stops in the middle and turns around, sensing that something is wrong, and uses his rock arrow magic spell to shoot in what seemed like an empty field. It turns out that his intuition was correct as magical turtle monster was hiding nearby and slowly making their way towards Selma and the girls to ambush them from behind. Orhan's intervention saves them from a disaster, but things are not better off either ways since they are now trapped between the two earth dragons and the armored turtle monster. Selma immediately takes command, claiming that the turtle monster has an incredibly strong shell, but is very slow, which makes it a prime target for spellcasters. She tells Rain and Otis to deal with the turtle, while Will and Orhan are supposed to deal with the earth dragons without worrying about the turtle ever attacking them. Orhan seems to be enjoying this very much, as Selma's directions and decisions have been crisp and precise, making her someone who they can trust and follow. The dragons start running towards Orhan, shooting their fireballs at him, but Will is standing in between, acting like an impenetrable wall as he cuts through the fireballs and distracts them, while Orhan decides to flank them from the side to get a better angle. Orhan realizes that this party is working exactly how he wanted the heroes' party to work, but they were all too lazy to follow any of the orders. He gets into position and uses his own magical buffs to empower his sharpness and strength and waits for the orders. Selma tells him to wait for 5 seconds so that the dragons can get out of position and then attack simultaneously with Will. Orhan waits for the correct moment as Will baits an attack out of the rock dragons and then jumps back, while Orhan uses his air cutter attack to slice the dragons in half, killing them immediately. Meanwhile, the girls together manage to hit the turtle with a lightning attack, followed by a fire blast, and then an ice field which completely destroys the turtle, giving the party another victory. After that perfectly executed fight, they start walking through the fields and Orhan claims that it has been a really long while since a fight was this easy for him, as he usually has to do so much more work each time they fight. Selma stops and asks Orhan seriously whether in his opinion he thinks that they all are ready as a team to face the floor number 92. Orhan replies that he thinks that they are more than ready for that floor, and claims that he thinks that they all can defeat the Black Dragon without him as well, if they keep their nerves about them. Selma, however, has seen the Black Dragon firsthand in combat very recently during the teaching expedition and knows that the dragon is incredibly strong, and she doesn't want to lose anyone else in the fight. By the time the sun starts setting, they are done with their mission and manage to collect the pelts from 9 noxious sheeps, which is more than enough to call the mission a complete success. Orhan then asks Selma whether she can tell him where he can find the Adventure Management Office, as he was called by them, and Selma tells him not to worry as she will accompany him since she has to report the mission's success as well. Orhan thanks her, and that evening, they all go to celebrate at a pub, eating amazing food and talking about the day. A couple drinks later, Selma gets drunk and starts making advances towards Orhan, who realizes that he won't be able to hold himself back if she keeps doing this. Before he could do anything though, Rain also appears next to him and starts hugging his arm and being very close to him. Will watches with interest, cheering for Orhan, claiming that he is a total player, but Orhan can't deal with it anymore, and as soon as post-nut clarity hits, he uses his sleep magic to send both the girls into a deep sleep. A little while later, while Sophia was chilling in her room waiting for her sister to arrive, she hears a knock at the door. She expected her sister, but here's Orhan asking her to open the door. At first she was scared to open the door thinking that she is not dressed appropriately, but Orhan claims that he is with Selma and needs her to let him in. Sophia decides to open the door, but notices that Selma is literally on Orhan's back, which looks even worse than a usual walk of shame that she is used to see. Sophia realizes that her sister is meant for the street and asks her to get off Orhan's back this very instant. She also realizes that both of them must have had a lot of fun since Orhan was smiling when he came. She starts feeling left out and conflicted since she clearly has feelings for Orhan, and later tells Selma that she was probably making Orhan uncomfortable. Selma apologizes and heads off to the bathroom to take a hot shower, during which she thinks about the way Sophia looks at Orhan, and knows for a fact that Orhan is her first love, and she shouldn't do anything to make it weird. But at the same time, she thinks about everything she said to Orhan, and realizes that she even called him handsome. She starts going into a deep spiral as she questions her own feelings about Orhan, wondering whether she only likes him as a person and looks up to him as an adventurer, or are there any deeper feelings involved. which can sabotage her relationship with her sister as they move forward. The next morning, Selma accompanies Orhan to the management reception, where they find Stella waiting for them. Her desk seems messier than my love life, but just like me, she doesn't seem to care much about it, and carries on with her day. She introduces Orhan with Carla, the super hot woman who is the caretaker of the new adventurers that join their clan. Carla greets Orhan warmly and claims that he is going to be taking care of group number 10 and will take over their training from now on. She then asks him whether she has gone over their files, and Orhan replies that he knows them already, but has thoroughly checked the files, and only then did he come to the decision to personally train them. Carla looks relieved and thanks him for taking over the lot, while even Stella claims that only Orhan can deal with them at this point. Orhan smiles and then asks what's the policy on training here, and how hard can he go on them. Stella replies that there is no policy on how to train anyone, so he can do whatever he feels like without any second thoughts. She tells him to simply teach them whatever he knows from his own experience and train them enough that they can go alone in the outside world and won't get hurt very easily. Orhan is still a little confused, and Selma understands him better, claiming that it would probably be better if Orhan had a goal that he could work towards instead of having nothing to aim for. Stella thinks for a bit and then replies that Orhan should train them in such a way that the trainees are able to take on the middle level floor by themselves by the next 6 months. Orhan claims that those are some high expectations from the newbies, but Stella replies that they are supposed to be both the troublemakers, but also the most talented of the lot, so expect a lot from them in the coming years. Moreover, they already showed a lot of growth after the training expedition that they went on. Orhan agrees and claims that he would try his best, and with that both Selma and him leave the room to get back to their work. In the corridor, Selma stops suddenly and claims that if Orhan has read all the files, then he probably knows everything about Sophia and herself. Orhan looks down a little uneasy before nodding. A hint of sadness emerges in Selma's eye as she claims that Sophia was the daughter of the maid who was also a mistress to her father, and everything would have been fine, but Sophia's mother died after a couple of years